evening, everyone. Welcome to Cryptid Crunch. I am your host, Willow Schuyler. Wow. Apparently, I wasn't ready for the show to start. I was trying to show my co-host that how to do StreamYard. All right, so we'll get the show started. And I promise you that by next show, I will have a new video for our intro. Because we have the wonderful Kale.
Hello, I am back. Yet again.
So yeah, I was just in the process of teaching Kale how to use StreamYard, and then I looked up and it's like showtime. I'm not ready. So yeah, welcome to the show, everyone. For those of you who are unaware, Keisha is getting ready to have her little baby, and she needs to take some time off, which I'm not mad at all. And we look forward to her return. So Kale's going to be our co-host from now on.
Yes, I will try to fill in her wonderful place. I don't know if I'll live up to her legend, but I will try.
And we have our usual people in the chat. Hello, Dan. Welcome to the show. It was funny because I know that Facebook has a bad habit of not putting out my messages until like a couple days later. So now I've gotten in the habit of messaging like all the people who normally show up in our chat. Donna, hello. Carl, you guys are awesome. Thank you for being here. And Eli. Yep. Eli with, so I guess it's Kale be crazy. We'll probably have some new hashtags in the next little while. Now that Keisha's not keeping track of our hashtags, I think I might have to start remembering what our hashtags are with each show. So yeah. So what the topic is today is ghost towns. And Kale, do you have any? Have you gone to any ghost towns, or what is your?
Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, tried to go to a couple of ghost towns out when we went on our West Virginia cryptid tour, and a lot of them out there used to be just like coal mining towns that, a lot of rural areas out there, not a lot of access in the hills and the roads, in the mountains and out there. There's even this one town, I think it's Nuremberg or Thornburg. They even had just one road that you got into the town up until the 1820s, where like they built a train track to get into there. So yeah, there's a lot out there that they have just abandoned post offices and doctors' offices that have been built to be completely used, and they just sit there vacant and abandoned, and you just walk through and it's really, really eerie. It's almost like you can feel a presence of people walking around trying to use the offices.
See, I know Manitoba has a couple ghost towns. It's funny, like one of the towns that I used to live in, called Oak Bank, there was like a scarcity of people living there when I was a child, and there wasn't a whole lot. Going there now, though, it like exploded with people, and I'm just like, I don't like this. You guys changed my town.
Right.
It's like as soon as the first Tim Hortons popped up, then I feel like all hell broke loose.
You do get that weird kind of different hometown nostalgia when you go back to places you went as a kid and you've seen it kind of get commercialized and popularized, and you're like, what happened? You know, and it's almost the same effect in the opposite way when you go to a place that used to be popularized, and then you see this after, you know, post-COVID and a lot of places that didn't make it through, and especially like in 2008 after the recession and things like that, businesses that closed down, and you're like, oh wow, this street used to be like really full of businesses, and like they all closed down, and like what happened to this, you know, area? It was really thriving, and you're like, this street used to be like a really metropolitan area, and now it's like a dead space, and it's like, what? So yeah, kind of strange, like the shift of population. It's almost like ghost towns happen with people and without.
Yeah, exactly.
The migration of souls, non-living and living.
Well, it's funny. I find it weird that, you know, Winnipeg. I know it had its moments. Like back in like the back when it was still being built and becoming popular. And I look at buildings that don't exist anymore, and I have this like, I don't know, I actually start to cry when I see old pictures of what our city hall used to look like, and people are like, oh, it used to be ugly, it was so ugly, it looked like a gingerbread house. I'm like, it looks so pretty. Mm-hmm. Compared to what we have now for our city hall is just like this ugly, you know, modern square building that doesn't look like it fits with our motif of our city.
Yeah, I don't know if you're like me. My dream is like a Victorian gingerbread trim house. So yes, I have a love for the old style architecture. I'm right there with you.
Hello, Ryan. Good to see you. Oh, and we have Across the Pond Sports Network. Hey, guys. Good to see you guys. This is awesome. It looks like we have a packed chat. Okay, so one of the creepiest places that I like to look at is and I know it's popular for people to go and search. It's Chernobyl, Pripyat, and you know, the fairgrounds get me, like that's where it's like, you know, I've in my city we used to have a water park, and the slides used to just be there abandoned. It was there for over 30 years, abandoned. And so every time we travel there, I would always take a look at the slides, and it had that same feel where, you know, it was creepy, it was desolate, it looked like it was ready to fall apart at any moment. They finally took the slides down, but yeah, it's just has that really creepy vibe that, you know, that if you go there at night, you might see something.
Right.
Yeah, so Pripyat in Ukraine, people still search there. I heard that there's people still living there, but I don't know if that's a fact or not. But yeah, it's just creepy as hell. It's and then there's a place that Glenarrow, Texas, or New Mexico. Sorry, Glenarrow, New Mexico. They, if you watch the movie Cars, they have the gas station. Mm-hmm. As a memorial piece, I guess. And you know, it's funny because all these little ghost towns in America, most of it seems like a lot of them became abandoned once the highway expansion came through. So everything around Route 66 became abandoned. So I'm sure a lot of you who live in the States can know more of this stuff than I do. Yeah, when you're in a ghost town when the only store left in business is the Undertaker, and it's called Walmart. Wow. Edinburgh. I hope I'm saying that right. Has dungeons. Wow.
I would be surprised that most of your cities probably have dungeons and tunnels that even if they say that they don't, they probably do that you don't know about, because pre-prohibition they had to get bootleggers and smugglers through there somehow. So yeah, even Indianapolis has catacombs, but of course, Paris catacombs are the most famous, but Edinburgh dungeons, I have never researched that one, so that's one I'll have to add to my list. But yeah, it's oh, go ahead.
Winnipeg has like some underground tunnels that they say that they covered them up, but there's law courts right by right close to each other, and there was or is underground tunnels that attach to each other. And yeah, I want to go. I want to investigate all these underground tunnels that Winnipeg has, because I know they're still there.
Have you seen As Above, So Below though?
No, not yet.
Okay, go on your tunnel adventure, then watch the movie, because you might not want to go on a tunnel adventure.
I used to play Resident Evil, and I got so addicted to that game where I started having nightmares about it. So yeah, I think if I were to go and investigate any of these small town, like ghost towns and stuff, I'd have to bring people with me, because I would not be able to go by myself, because I'd be like, where's the zombies?
Right. That's why I need you here, because I want to go do Waverly Hills, but I need 8 people to do the overnight, and I can't find anybody brave enough to investigate ghosts with me.
I'm in. Okay. For sure.
Do it for the ghosts. But yeah, it was so weird. When I was younger, like in 8th grade, I lived in Edinburgh. I'm sorry, not Edinburgh, Fortville, Indiana. And right on Main Street, actually, in the drag, they have, a Main Street that dates way back, to the 1800s. And my friend had a house that was like across the creek where the bridge was, right in the middle of the town. And her house, her basement, had a tunnel that connected to 2 houses across the street, catty corner, and then like diagonal. And it was, yeah, that's how we found out it was like a tunnel system. And we were like, what? They like had these like brick walls built behind, and they just started like demolishing them one day. And then they found out that it was like down there, and we were like, yeah, that's crazy.
Oh, wow.
So
see, my house was built in early 1900s. So like 1907, I think it was. So I'm sure that there's some interesting things hidden in the walls. And in the basement, it's like, I'm sure at one point it was a dirt basement, and they had to dig out what it is now. So yeah, it's funny because my cats had scratched on the walls, like leading to my basement, around the stairs, and I took a picture of the old floral wallpaper, and someone had actually mentioned that is like really old wallpaper from the early 1900s. I'm like, it's pretty much in pristine condition without the cat scratches.
That's crazy. Could you imagine you uncover it and there's like a message hidden underneath? Red rum. I would get out of the house.
I'm waiting because it's funny. Like I'm tempted to see what's behind. Like if I were to redo the bathroom, I'm curious as to see if there's any old newspaper clippings.
Oh, true, because they used to use that for insulation. That is really cool.
Yeah. Across the pond, my wife would be in for an overnight to look for ghosts.
All right.
Oh, yeah.
4 more. 4 out of 8. We're halfway there. Halfway to ghosts.
Oh, Eli says if you want to go deep into that Yeti hole, there's a link between ghost towns and simulation theory.
Oh, I believe it.
So, yeah. Okay. I don't know if any of you played the game. Oh wow, I'm having a brain fart moment. I'm so sorry. We were talking about the pandemic, and where's my brain? Yep, it's gone. I'm sorry.
It happens.
It's gone apparently. So we were trying to reach you about your cars. That's exactly where my brain went.
Oh, it talks about people that are supposed to have people that don't. Like Roanoke.
Okay, so okay. I was trying to leave this for last, but anytime that you talk about ghost towns, you kind of have to mention Jonestown. For those of you who aren't aware of Jonestown, it was a cult. And it was a cult in the 70s, and people had killed themselves. The place is still around today, 50 years later. And there's actually, I was hoping to have that up here. There was a picture of the cult leader's chair, and behind it said, "Those who ignore history are doomed to repeat it." And kind of what's happening now. But yeah, Jonestown is a really sad story, and I'm sorry I'm touching on it, but the fact that still exists today, it still remains a part of our history. And yeah, anybody who ignores history is doomed to repeat it. And we need to make sure that we don't repeat the same thing, the same problems that Jonestown, the leader of Jonestown, brought to this world. As soon as I brought up simulation theory, Jonestown, where you don't want to drink. Yeah, exactly. That's okay. Yes, that's exactly where the phrase came from, was "Don't drink the Kool-Aid." Yeah, it's a really sad story. If those of you who don't know the history behind Jonestown, read up on it. It's a sad story, and it's still a haunting. It still haunts us.
Yeah, if you're from Indianapolis and you are not familiar with any of the history, he was actually a pastor from Indianapolis long before he was a cult leader. So, little tidbit there for you.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's, anniversary of Waco coming up. They just released that documentary on Netflix. So, cult leaders, there is something just fascinating to me about how they can, I don't know if it's manipulate all the time, but just gain the influence of so many people. And then, it almost is like they do have a ghost town in a way, because it becomes a cult following. So in a way, are they themselves?
Yeah. That's definitely a story that we can do. Maybe we'll team up with the Ice Cream Queens for that whole thing about cults, because that's definitely something that we should probably touch on, and I'll look into that.
Right.
Yeah. So we have in Glenario, New Mexico, a former railroad town, sits on the New Mexico-Texas border along Route 66. Despite it being a ghost town in 2007, its 31-acre historic district, consisting of 16 structures, was put on National Register of Historic Places. The following year, the Glenario Welcome Center debuted with modern conveniences, but there were no residents left. Portions of the Grapes of Wrath movie was filmed there, and abandoned service station design appeared in cars. China has okay. So here's a ghost town that I'm positive Silent Hill is based on. Centralia. I hope I'm saying that right. Pennsylvania. Another casualty of mining decline. The number of residents in the town took a deep dive from around 1,000 in 1980 to just 7 in 2013. There's still people living there.
So, okay.
The place is on fire.
I've gone into a deep dive hole on Centralia because I didn't know this place existed. And apparently, yeah. So they're another mining town in Pennsylvania. So West Virginia, Pennsylvania, way over there. There's all huge coal deposits in the earth, rich with minerals. so the reason it's burning so much is it's anthracite coal, which I think it's one of the highest densities of coal. So it has a very volatile burning substance, but it's on a mammoth vein. So that's why there's such an abundance of it. That's why it's projected to burn so long. The scientists say up to 500 years. So yeah, I even found a Q&A session from the Centralia Mine Reabduction Bureau, and I was reading through because I was so intrigued. I was like, people are here, people try to restore it, what? But yeah, it was a crazy story. I guess that back in the day they were trying to speed up construction routes, and they thought that maybe it got started by a barrier not getting complete with the fire resistant clay. So just a lot of human error, construction flaws that just could have been crazy. But yeah, I didn't even know that place existed. Now I want to go there.
Yeah. We have a Facebook user. Sorry for your name not being shown. There was a ghost town near where I grew up in CT. It was called Dudleytown. Only exists now with bigger town limit on private property. And all that remains is a couple of houses, house foundations and chimneys. Was a legend my whole life, and people still try to explore it. When you stepped, it's been 30 years since we trespassed into the area, you couldn't hear any bugs or birds that is creepy. Any bugs or birds are usually usual wooded forest types. Oh, yeah, that is really creepy. Carl with, we should be running water pipes through Centralia and using it to make electricity. All that coal burn is going to waste. I agree. That's why we need people like Carl in Congress. People with brains.
No.
I pay way too much attention to your guys' politics, and I kind of ignore mine. There's a church, a nice looking church there that sticks out like a sore thumb that still sees a congregation. It's an eerie, beautiful sight, and it's inspired by the cult in Silent Hill. Yeah, well, yeah.
Carl, I agree with you. That question was brought up. And scientists do believe that the fire could be stopped with efforts that the Pennsylvania tax relief can't afford at this moment. So that was brought up in the meeting notes.
Yeah, I just, you know, I played the game Silent Hill, and I love survival horror games. And yeah, I don't know what it is with me and zombie and those kind of games, but yeah, I think if I were to visit a ghost town, I'd get that weird that weird vibe that, you know, something is gonna come around the corner at any moment.
Have you played Outlast?
No, I heard about it. I've been wanting to.
Okay, so maybe you should also not play Outlast before you go on your cuddle in your chair. Because you play as Ethan and you have a camera. Outlast scares the crap out of me because I really am afraid of the dark. And you are always trying to search for batteries so that your light doesn't go out. But yeah, you have to crawl through like tunnels and sewers and stuff. And it's scary. You have to run from monsters. So if you like horror games, give Outlast a try.
Okay, well, I definitely love The Division was the other game that the game that I couldn't think of a moment ago. Yeah, during the pandemic, like me and my husband, we were playing that, and then he says to me, he was at work, and he goes, "Can you go to the store and pick up some stuff?" And here I am putting on my mask, and I get this like, whoa. It honestly felt like I grabbed a bag, and I'm just like, I feel like I'm going on a run to fill up my, you know, hostel. This is weird. This is like, it was such a surreal moment where I'm, you know, going out, and yeah, like my whole city just felt abandoned. And there were barricades up in some areas. I'm just like, oh, I should not be living The Division. Eli has posted up some link to more Centralia. Yeah. Coal has been burning for years. Meanwhile, we were paying a fortune for heat and electricity, right? You know, Carl, do you really think it's a good thing to tell him that he needs to be a politician? Hey, people have told me that I'd be good at working for the government, and I'm like, yeah, until I call someone a dumbass. There's yeah, I love Wikipedia, and well, I love the internet in general when it comes to searching up stuff. Cody, British Columbia is another place. The prosperity of North American mining communities is pretty much over. Cody in southern British Columbia is no exception. This town used to have 250 residents. Attracted to the handful of mines nearby beginning in the late 1800s, but now there are none. Most were employees of the Noble 5 mine, which shut down in 1940s after a fire. Another fire, but I'm surprised that place isn't still burning.
I think that with the advancements of technology and the fact that just so many fires and collapses and just, you know, the mining industry wasn't viable overall. Maybe it wasn't the safest. I think that this is what inspired OSHA to come about. We have OSHA for a reason now. We have safety measures. But yeah, when you think about it, like electricity came, like the steam engine was moving away, and like, you know, coal just wasn't the main source of energy, and then everybody was literally having fires, and just it was so it was such a hard, toiling job to actually mine it and get resources to it. I mean, it was great for the industry and the times that it brought us to where we were, but I would say thankful to all of the men that helped us get there, and so sad that they lost their lives, but it's thankful that we have advanced as a society.
I mean, it sucks that we're relying so heavily on other ways, like still in some places, nuclear power to run our cities, and I mean, Manitoba is a hydro province, and which is weird because we actually a lot of our hydro plants actually help run the U.S. And then and my husband's dad actually ran one of the hydro plants. And then we have actually, well, it's not a ghost town, but one of the hydro plants up north to us actually shut down. And I'm actually surprised the town is still standing, because that was like their main bread and butter of running the town. But yeah, no, my husband's dad is a retired hydro worker. And he that guy is freaking smart, and I kind of wish that he was here to talk about his thing when it comes to Chernobyl. But yeah, I'll see if I can get him to rant one day about the failures of the Chernobyl plant.
I can't imagine. There were so many tests that they did before that. I mean, talk about ghost town. They had so many of the staged homes and the nuclear test sites set up there just so people would survive the radiation and the levels and how much they could get away with. So, you know, I'm sure all of the testing that we just know about, stuff that they haven't even released yet.
See, I'm surprised that, you know, we make fun of monsters and myths, and I'm actually surprised that, you know, Godzilla isn't an actual thing.
Right? I believe he is. Okay, he's in the ocean hibernating until we need him for a catastrophe.
I'm waiting for the day to come where it's like, you know, the world has seen enough disaster. We just need, it's like the Sim City. We just need that monster attack to come and just finish us off.
Yeah. No, one of my favorite movies is Pacific Rim. So you've got me huge into the kaiju, like The Rift, Jaegers. We're building them Gypsy Danger all day. We're gonna pilot them, and we'll just protect our cities that way.
Oh, my husband would be right there with you with the yeah, no, like he's big into that too. And I try to, like, I love those movies, but I'm just, I don't know. I can't get into the kaiju movies as much as everybody else can. But, you know, maybe it'd be different if it was made differently. I don't know. I guess. But, the scene in Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull is prime example of those fake towns. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I was actually thinking that exact thing when you mentioned that. We literally have giant rats in our warehouse because of nearby. See, I'm surprised that there isn't more like massive. Although, you know, it's been proven that Simpsons somehow figured out a way to time travel and see the future. The three-eyed fish is in existence somewhere. Right. Oh yeah, it's Carl. There's an old law where congressmen could call each other names and they couldn't sue them for it. So that would be. See, okay. Here's the thing about Canada. There's a thing of you can't even say the word fart in our yeah.
What?
Yeah,
Fart is offensive in Canada?
Apparently, fart is very offensive when you're in the middle of. Well, it's not Congress, but yeah, it's unconstitutional. That's what the word is. Yeah. Wow. One woman actually stood up and during her speech, she called the opposition. They were acting like a giant fart, and she got called on it. I'm like, yeah. The video's out there somewhere.
Well, were they acting like a giant fart? Were they?
So you can do it and just not say yeah.
Exactly. Herself on the stand. I mean, she can't plagiarize herself on the stand.
But yeah, it's like, and then you wonder if there's an actual list of words that you can and can't say. Right. It's like, remember not to say fart next time. Moving on. North Brother Island, New York. Wow, I don't know how to read today. This 20-acre island in the Bronx, nestled between Rikers Island and the Bronx, is home to no one, just Hurons. Up until 1964, the island housed Riverside Hospital and its patients, particularly those who were highly contagious. And although the New York City Parks Department oversees the property, it's not inhabited yet. There have been proposals by architects and politicians for using the space, but nothing's flown yet. Wow.
Now it's just inhabited by all the giant New York rats and their people. Yeah. That's where they go and they store it.
Ruby, Arizona. Ruby, which is 50 miles southwest of Tucson, thrived during the 1920s and 30s as a mining camp, bolstered by activity at the Montana Mine and Eagle Pitcher Mining Company. But when that ended in 1941, so did the town. The post office quickly shuttered, followed by the few remaining residents relocating elsewhere. Today, you can tour 25 abandoned buildings for $12 for a $12 entry fee. Okay. Yeah, there's a couple places that I've read that has become like tourist towns.
Okay, interesting. If it's a tourist attraction now, is it still considered a ghost town?
Maybe. Here's a perfect example. Kennecott, Alaska. Copper mining in the last frontier state used to be a big business that includes the community of Kennecott, a mining camp established in 1911. Today, the massive red mill remains, protected by a National Park Service as a National Historic Landmark district, but nobody lives there. All mining here ceased by 1938, at which point it was turned into a national park. And I know that people tour there. Mm-hmm. I've seen videos and man.
Yeah, there's you talked about the one at Chernobyl, the amusement park. There's a lot of abandoned amusement parks all over. There's Lake Shawnee in West Virginia. It was just a whole amusement park that is just abandoned now. It's crazy.
I actually saw Portals to Hell, an episode of Portals to Hell on that. And okay, so there's a weird story about a kid getting killed on the swings. And apparently the swing set moves on its own wind. But yeah, I would actually like to go visit, but it's become such a tourist attraction now that, It's actually kind of sad.
There's this one, I want to say it's like Germany or something. I've looked it up before, and it's literally like it's an abandoned town, and it was like the Rosewood or something like that. It's all little houses, like little fairy tale cottages, little mushroom houses, and it was like their version of Disney World. And they built it up to be this like amazing park, and then it just never opened, or the plans failed for it to open, and it shut down completely. But it looks so decrepit because it was supposed to be these cute fairy tale creatures, and then with time they just like the forestation, just overgrowth and everything, and the dirt. I mean, it truly looks haunted. So I think that's the one of the things about abandoned kid places. There's such an innocence that it's supposed to be pure and a place of joy and happiness and positivity. And then when you see it like all decrepit and like not in its glory, you're like, oh, it's tainting that feeling. It's tainted now. You know what I'm saying? So it's already taking that feeling of joy and like giving you an uneasy feeling. So I think that's what makes it even better as a ghost town.
Yes.
I think that's why we like creepy dolls and things like that so much.
So yesterday, I went and watched the new Shazam movie, and there's quite a few little Easter eggs in that movie.
Oh, really?
One is they're in the guy's in the therapy office, and Annabelle, the Annabelle doll is sitting there. I'm just like, what? Why would a kid's therapist have an Annabelle doll?
That's amazing.
I mean, I think that I would think that my therapist would be awesome if she had that, but at the same time, you know, yeah.
Traumatizing the children. Or starting them out right young. Give them the horror first.
Hey, I mean, it would be different if it was a Chucky doll.
Right?
I know, it's funny because my husband actually said that if I were to bring home one of those dolls, he wouldn't allow it in the house. And I'm just like, you know what? It would be kind of funny to have a doll and just move it around the house every so often.
What you should do is get the doll, but tell him you didn't buy it. It just showed up. I told you not to buy one of those dolls. I didn't. What are you talking about? I would never do that, honey.
Hey, he would do stuff like that to me. Yeah, I know he would. Definitely something to think about.
You didn't.
No. There's an antique store going out of business in my neighborhood, and it's funny because I love old photography. I would love. This is one of the reasons why I would love to go to a ghost town, is see the photography if anybody left their photos. I love when it comes to history. Photography is one of the things that I love, and I love old photos. My husband doesn't. And he keeps telling me that the old photos that we have of his family in our bedroom, he's like, you can get rid of those at any time. I'm just like, no, I kind of like them.
Right. Oh, I'm telling you, you would love to come to the States. There did a ghost hunt at the Indiana Masonic Temple downtown, and in there it's just a crazy old Masonic temple with lots of history. I mean, you go back behind the curtains where like the pipe organs are, and they've still got like everything on like rope pulleys and levers and stuff like that for the curtains and things like that. But you speak about like investigating old photos. We went in there and in one of their offices, like it's all decrepit and like broken down, like the ceiling's falling down and the chairs are like, leather and water's been raining down. But found boxes of these old slides, and they had different architectural slides of like columns, like Masonic columns, obviously, that they would like teach them of stuff, but then they had like all kinds of different religious artifacts, like prayer slides and photos and scriptures, and they had like ones of like slides of arcs and stuff like that. So we didn't have a slide machine, but if you just like put your flashlight up and shine it on the wall, like you could see what it was. But yeah, it was really cool. And they were like glass, and like some, were broken and cracked, but they were vintage. And it was really, really cool to find some of that stuff. Like, it's just like, there are buildings like this that people just left this history untouched, just forgot about. So
that is so, like, that to me is bizarre, because you think that, especially when it comes to American history, you think that that would be something that would be preserved.
Right. And I mean, in a way it is, because the temple is still used for, like, I think special events. And of course they have the things like that. But so this is a building where, of course, people can go in and kind of discover that kind of stuff and look at it and appreciate it. But think about, especially I live in Indiana, so I think about this all the time, the crossroads of America, when, you were saying that, as we move away from coal and trains and Route 66 becomes more popular and we stop sending telegrams on the Postmates, the horses, I think about how the invention of the highway and people going more popularized into more, expanding. There are so many buildings like that couldn't even be discovered. Like somebody said in the comments earlier, urban exploring. I am in a part of a group, and there are places that are posted all the time, abandoned and forgotten. And it's like, wow, it's so many places like that exist.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know Canada has quite a few abandoned cities as well. And like a lot of it was mining. The gold rush had killed towns as well. As soon as like gold or silver dried up, or the silver mines became less popular as far as money going towards it. Manitoba actually has. We have a lot of diamond mines.
Ooh.
Oddly enough. Yeah. So Flin Flon is an old mine that I think Flin Flon was more coal though, but Manitoba does have diamonds. And Flin Flon used to be one of our big coal mines, but they since dried up, closed that one, and even the logging industry in BC that has dried up. That since that people left that to go look for something else. For money wise, and that has killed some of the towns too, which is odd, because like the logging industry is very very popular in Canada as well as in Alaska. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to say about that. That's
Alaska's its own ghost town. Do they still pay people to go live there? They're trying to get it inhabited.
Yeah, I think I would enjoy living in Alaska, because I mean it's probably just as cold there as it is in my city. But I think the nature. I think the fact that there's lots of moose and bears up there. It is probably better that I stay in central Canada.
Right.
But I think I would be able to survive in Alaska.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you think about even California now with all of the fires, they became now a ghost town. There are huge developments in the hills that are completely abandoned with mansions that used to be fully populated. And I heard Idaho now is apparently the new place where everybody from California moved. I mean, I haven't been up to Idaho, I think, but I guess they're saying that it's that and Austin, Texas are the two hotspots.
Well, okay, one thing that I don't understand about California is how rich the people are in that part of your country, and they haven't figured out how to get a better water system.
Right. I mean, it's just, and the practice methods that they have out there, I mean, are just, wild, but it's just crazy that there's so much land out there that is just unused, and these beautiful mansions and homes that are just like, now, why did they get built? And it's so much real estate and property that's like untouched. Yeah. It's crazy. Absolutely wild.
I mean, we have our own areas where rich people like to flock, and it's not just Toronto. Vancouver is another place, and I find it funny how some people are like, it costs just as much to live in Vancouver as you're living in Manitoba. And we're just like, right, and the space that you're living in Vancouver is, a little cubicle.
Right. Yeah, I mean, that's like here you'd pay, $800 for an entire apartment, and in New York you get $800 for a closet.
Yeah.
So it's exactly the same. I know what you mean. I guess that makes a difference, but it's just crazy to think that it was such a popular destination to be achieved after, the California Hollywood Hills. We want to be in the Hollywood Hills, the mansion, like especially back in the day, like, 70s, it was the dream to live there. And now it's like abandoned. So times definitely changed.
Yeah, and no, it's weird. It's like, because I listen to other podcasts from like celebrities, and there's always like either there's always some kind of disaster happening in LA where either you're worrying about all the murders that are happening around you, the fires, and then of course, there's the, you can't water your plants for so many days. You can't have a shower more than like 3 days in a row or whatever it is. And it's just like, how?
Goodness.
I don't think, like, I personally couldn't live in LA, because of I'm thinking about how much water, the water use that I use here, it would kill me if I lived in LA.
I enjoy my bath too much.
Yep. Although it's like I'm looking at my water bill right now, and I'm just like 108. I'm paying $108 for my water every like couple months, and what is that? That's like what someone would pay in a day in LA.
It's crazy though to think that like somewhere surrounded by water, we can't figure, like you say that you guys have hydro plants and stuff like that. We can't figure out how to resource water here in America.
Well, we have like all these like little oceans, little lakes, all over my province. We're literally the land of 1,000 lakes, and what gets me is LA has vast amounts of water. Why aren't they using it?
Yeah. Who knows? Who knows?
Yeah, but I don't know. I can't tell a country how to run their lives. So,
right.
But Now, I'm realizing that we have like 5 minutes left. What do you have planned for the week?
Oh, just gonna live the dream here, try to conserve my water. Hopefully, we have some good weather here. It's been kind of like our tornado season starting out here, so in the Midwest. So hopefully, we get some less windy days and more sun.
Now, like I know that you guys call yourselves Tornado Alley. Is like how many tornadoes per se, like in a month, do you guys get during this time?
Well, we just had one Friday or Saturday night in Greenwood, down in Johnson County, and like 40,000 people were without power, and it destroyed a couple of buildings. In a month's time, it can vary. I mean, in a good weekend, like maybe 3 or 4 will touch down all over the state, and we'll get reports of them. So it just depends. But that's just in Indiana alone. I mean, Illinois, Ohio, all around here, you get different reports. So it just depends on the season, I guess. Yeah. Right now, you're kind of in that weird pattern where it's been shifting back and it's staying a little cold. So when you get those warm fronts come through, I think the air pressure has been like the perfect recipe for tornadoes. So,
and would you ever do like storm chasing?
Oh, hell yeah. Oh, hell yes. Twister is my favorite movie. Rest in peace, Bill. But yes, all day, every day.
I think I would love that job too. It's funny because like I do look at the clouds quite frequently, and I like to. My husband hates it when I do this. I'll look up. I'll like kind of feel out the air, and it's just like, oh, it's probably gonna get cold later. And he goes, "Shut up."
Yep. I just say I can feel it in my knees.
Yeah. I'm like a human barometer. I just like there's something in the air that you can definitely smell it in the air when snow's about to hit. And the problem with Manitoba is we get our weather from the Canada Weather Agency or whatever, but you listen to the radio, you watch television, you look on the internet, and it tells you like 3 different things. It's just like, you guys all get your weather from the same source. How is it different? And
right.
I don't get that. It's like, let's see what the weather is like. Just look outside.
Here, it's extremely bipolar. One day, it'll be 70 degrees and sunny. The next day, it'll be 20 degrees and there's 2 inches of snow on the ground. And it's like, yep. I just wore shorts yesterday. Now I need my jacket.
Yep.
So.
Yep. Well, it's funny because like my mom's birthday is April 1st. And I remember celebrating one year her birthday, and it was like t-shirt weather. My aunt's flowers were starting to bloom, and then like a couple days later it had snowed. Like, we had a blizzard. I'm just like, well, I guess those plants aren't gonna survive.
Oh, poor plants.
But yeah, that's our typical weather. And I always say to people, it's like, here you cannot put away your shovels until June, because we can get snow right up until the end of May.
Yeah, I think all the seasons are kind of just shifting back just a little bit, because it's been getting colder later, and then the leaves are turning just a little bit later. So we'll see what happens.
All right, you guys have it. Thank you for joining us on this conversation. You guys are awesome. See you in a couple of weeks, and I'll put some feelers out, and hopefully we can have a good discussion with the ice cream ladies. So April 16th will be our next show. I look forward to having more conversations with you.
Yes. Thank you guys so much for listening.
Have a great night.
Bye.